Hi, this is Sean Lewis from Journeys Worldwide. Today we're going to be talking to Dave Southwood. Dave is a photographer, a guide, and he also represents Grand Holidays of Ethiopia. So we'll be talking about Ethiopia and its diverse, unique, endemic, and fascinating tribes, animals, birds, insects, and plants. The history is extensive with churches carved out of rock or high into cliff faces, and it's a beautiful and friendly country, which is great for trekking and for photography. Thank you for joining us.
So I'm here in Addis Ababa and I'm in front of the Bole Medan Alam Church, which is nothing short of spectacular. So I'm going to have a look around as we walk in. So let's just see what we have here at the moment. It seems to be a great venue for weddings. So quite a few people doing traditional wedding photographs over here this morning. It's now about 11 o'clock, so quite hot. Beautiful statue over here of Christ. And obviously rings true to the ancestry of the first Christian country in Africa. So I'm here in Addis downtown on a Saturday morning. It's not that busy as what I thought it would be. Lots of construction, lots of old vulgar taxis.
So Wally Ibex, just 3 of them, 4 of them, up that way. That's the summit, about another 100 meters above me. On the bank of the Omo River with Ari, he's over here. He's a trusty interpreter with the local community and also one of the best pirogue pilots in the world. So if you're looking for a red hot pirogue pilot, he's your man. And we're here with Grand Holidays Ethiopia on a little bit of a scouting mission to see what more we can do. So say hi, Ari.
Dave, thanks very much for joining us today. You are a representative for Grand Holidays Ethiopia, and you've been there a number of times. And I've seen on Instagram you've been posting quite a bit on Ethiopia recently. It looks like an amazing place. I've popped in there once. Certainly, it just hits you from landing, the culture and the history. And can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me over, Sean. Much appreciated. Lovely to see you again, albeit virtually. Well, yeah, Ethiopia is a very interesting country purely because it has such a diverse and cultural history. With over 27 tribes across Ethiopia, you're just sort of embedded with the most incredible diverse culture, from Christianity to Judaism to Muslim faith to animist and other tribal values and faiths as well. So it isn't just a destination in Africa, but it's a destination that sort of encompasses the Arab Peninsula as well through historical stories. In the 5th century, when Muslim faith took over, Eritrea moved on to become its own country, and Ethiopia still remained to what it is today. So it has so much, thousands and thousands of years of this incredible history that you seem to absorb as you land. As you land and you come through, you start seeing the different cultures coming past you in Addis Ababa en route to potentially a flight into Lalibela or somewhere else across Ethiopia.
You'll notice that, and just even within Addis, there's some amazing churches, and a lot of the history can be seen right there. But with the churches, I think one of the things that I found fascinating were the churches have been hewn out of solid rock, and they're still visible, and some not too far from Addis as well, if I remember correctly.
Yes, very much so. And obviously, Lalibela is your destination for churches. There's Tigray as well, which you have the massive churches right up on the top of cliffs where you climb up with a rope ladder, which is quite scary. But Lalibela, you have St. George's Church, which is the most famous. It looks like the St. George's Cross, and it's hewn out of one piece of volcanic granite. And you walk in there, and there's an atmosphere that is just palpable. You need to be there to experience it. And obviously, early mornings or late afternoon, when everyone's left, because obviously during the time of crowds and that around Lalibela, it's really good to be there super early or super late, just before everything starts sort of petering down. You've got that place to yourself, and you really can feel it. And obviously, during the Timkat festival, the Christmas of Ethiopia, it is even more spectacular because you have such a congregation of pilgrims coming to visit these churches.
What sort of ages are these churches? Like the one you just been talking about? Any ideas?
Oh, hundreds to thousands, over 1,000 years. They're very, very old churches, and some of them, quite worn out. A lot of them have been given a certain status and they've been protected. Some of them have roofs over them to protect the fragile ecology of the church. So when you go there, you actually see, and you've also got these ancient olive trees that are around as well. Desale, who's the owner of Grand Holidays, he was born in Lalibela. So I've been spending some time with his family there, and it's nice to walk with a local and experience Lalibela from their perspective, because they'll take you down a little path where they used to play as a kid, or sort of roll a ball down or kick a ball down a little path. And I think those elements make it just so much more interesting, because you're getting a first-hand experience of what these places are, as opposed to just from a tourist perspective. You're actually seeing it from someone who lives there on a daily basis. I
think that's really important. I think that's one of the things we do quite often focus on, is trying to get people in the community to be able to interact with you and just give them their perspectives, because far too often I think you get the glossy magazine side of things and you don't actually get the real feel of it. And that's quite a fantastic part. And you've been down into the south there, because there's some really interesting tribes down in the south. A lot of body painting, and then of course the ladies who wear the plates on their lips and so on, and the bull jumping.
That's right.
Some really fascinating cultural tribes and festivals that go on down there.
That's right. So your launching point is Jinka. So you fly into Jinka, which you fly from Addis. It's beautiful because you're flying over these incredible lakes of different colors and textures that you see from the plane. And obviously flying with Ethiopian Airlines, it's pretty reliable. There's a slight delay with flights, but it's always done in good humor and good fashion, but they are on time, they're reliable and safe. And you arrive in Jinka, and they've actually just updated the little airport arrival. So it's a little bit more than just a old Zozo hut. So it's a proper airport now, which is very nice. And you'll be met by your guide and then head off down towards the Omo Valley. And obviously we've got the Karo tribe, which is quite close to Jinka, if you're going towards the Omo Valley. And if you're going towards Margo National Park, you've got the Mercy tribe, which have the big lip plugs and big ear plugs and things like that. Now the Mercy are quite abundant. Margo National Park is a huge park, which they live within and around. And they just, and once again, getting in really early in the morning and experiencing the transition of light in the morning is one of the greatest things to see. Because if you arrive later with all the other tourists, you're not really benefiting as to how they wake up and what they do in the morning, how they cook. Now, on the other end, driving down from Jinka all the way down to the Omo Valley, it's a couple of hours drive. It's very, very dusty, volcanic dust all over the place, and it's drama and beauty. And the guys driving through the dust, and it's amazing. And you stop, and the dust is everywhere. And out of the dust, you see these people, Hama people, just walking in the middle of nowhere, and you think to yourself, what is going on here? You've never seen this before. What is this? It's like from another world. It's like something out of Jules Verne novel. It is like that. And that's the beauty, is because they have retained their status of tribal values and things like that. When you go down there, you see them in a completely different way. And it's something that you just don't expect. It doesn't matter who or how good the guide is. It's something that's totally unexpected. And a combination of being able to be poled on the river with one of the pirogues, combining that with just seeing them jumping bulls, and it depends the time of the year, obviously, when they're doing the bull jumping. I would recommend a couple of days down there where you can establish yourself a little camp that is park on the river, which is under a grove of beautiful old sycamore fig trees, and it's really beautiful. There's a lot of bird life around it, and there's lots of things to see and do, but it's always up to you. Use your imagination when you come on safari and when you come to Ethiopia as well, because there is so much to explore.
I think that's one of the important things with Africa in general, is just keeping an open mind and coming, just expect nothing, expecting nothing, and anything's a bonus. And there are so many bonuses.
Absolutely.
But you touched on the bird life there. I mean, there's a phenomenal diversity of bird life and wildlife in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
South and the north are very different. And then, of course, when you get like the simian wolves and so on, that's more up in the north, is it not?
Well, you've got Bale Mountains.
Yep.
The Bale Mountain stomping ground of the Ethiopian wolf. And they've kind of moved back because there's been a slight movement of people within the Simian National Park. And as you know, the simians is where you find the gelada monkeys, the vegetarian or vegan monkeys that are so chilled out, so you can sit and lie next to them while they eat away. And it's just this kind of feeling of being sort of transported onto a little cloud of just happiness when you see these monkeys just sort of growling and snorting and munching away just around you. And it's just a beautiful moment, you know, when you experience that. So that's really simian. And then you've got the Walia ibex, which are around about 4,000 meters above sea level. You can go and track Walia ibex. Most activities are done on foot. So if you're going to look for Walia, you've got to get off your little comfort zone seat and go for a little walk up into the mountains. Hopefully don't suffer from altitude sickness. But, you know, at the end of the day, a nice cup of coffee from Ethiopian, one of the local Ethiopian little stores will just perk you right up again. But the beauty is you're seeing one of the most endangered species of goat in the world. You know, there's only 500 Walia ibex out there, but they are increasing in number, and they are absolutely beautiful. It's like a bit like a bighorn sheep on steroids, if that's probably lack of a better word. And then we move on to Bale National Park, which is on the other side. And there we find the simian wolf. It's in this kind of permafrost. It's beautiful up there. It's small little hedges and sedges and lovely. It's just the landscape. It lends itself to kind of as if you're sort of in the tundra. And there in the middle of nowhere, you see this beautiful animal sort of loping around with its head in the ground, with his incredibly sensitive ears and nose, looking for mole rats, giant mole rats. And that's the most important is to understand the true reason why these things need to be so protected, because they are a real indicator species in our ecology in this part of the world. And Ethiopia, as you know, is one of the most populous countries in Africa, but also equally one of the most visited countries from ancient times. You know, the Romans were there, the Greeks were there, the Phoenicians were there, the Omani Empire, the Yemens, everyone's been to Ethiopia. You know, they've been, you know, so you'll find yourself in a situation where there is just so much around you, but you need to take stock of it. So you need a little bit more time to spend there. So if you're going to do Bale and Simian and the Omo Valley and Lalibela, you need a few weeks to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you touched again also on something else there, which is one of my big passions, and that's coffee. And the Ethiopians certainly know how to, and it's a ritual, and it's quite a thing for them. The coffee is not just a matter of drinking; it's the whole ritual behind making it and brewing it. And to them, you know, you got to all be part of that. And I think that, and then of course the Ethiopian food is so unique, and that's something else that has to be experienced when you're across there.
Well, it's a teff. Teff is the grain that is used for the bread, the injera bread, and it's kind of like a bit rubbery, and it's kind of almost a bit beery when you taste it. It's got a slight sort of hops taste to it, but it's kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling when you eat it, especially when you're having it with a hot Dora wat, which is the hot chicken, which is a specialty. It's kind of like, it's not a curry, but it is a curry kind of thing. It's kind of like a mixture of everything, but not a mixture of anything at all as well. But it is lovely, you know, and you can sort of combine that. And the beauty with the actual teff, with the bread, with the injera bread, is you can sort of break off a piece, and it's very communal. You sit together with this bit of bread, and you dip it into this, and you've got lentils, and you've got different types of things. And it's very social. It's very analog. It's away from your phones, away from your technology, and it's back to the way things should be, where you're talking to people and conquering the world and changing things. And that's why Africa is so great, because you can do that. You know, when you get there, you feel invincible. You feel light and airy and ready to take on, and you're a 16-year-old again. And that's the beauty of it.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's just a bit of something for everybody across there. Well, David, thanks very much. I don't have anything else you want to add on that, but anything else?
Oh, there's just so much to speak about, and I mean, it'll probably take us a lifetime to talk. But I mean, this has given you a nice insight to what it's all about. There are new parks that are, well, not new parks, but old parks that are very close to the Sudan that are being developed as well right now. And we are looking into doing some very exciting new things. There are lion and there are elephants still in Ethiopia in certain parts, and so that's still slowly starting to be discovered. And I think probably watch the space within 2021, 2022. Where things are going, because we are very keen, and the government is very keen to engage new activities as well within the framework. I mean, birding is a huge thing. We obviously, the other side of Bali, we see sort of the mountain nyala and Menelik's bushbuck and things like that that are speciality species that you only find in Ethiopia. So they're things, but you need time.
Absolutely. And I suppose something that everybody's going to be asking about, and we haven't really touched on, is the number of, there are a lot of tourists that have been going through, obviously, prior to COVID.
But the beauty is, I mean, I was in Ethiopia in March 2020. So it was right at the sort of beginning of when things were really happening. And it was fine. I mean, everyone had masks on, everyone had gels, and everything worked. I mean, we went straight from there. I was taking an American a professional photographer on a discovery trip to explain, because he was bringing a group over just a couple of days after I left, so he needed a bit of information, and everything just flowed, So I do feel that they've got a great airline. It's the logistics are working. The online visas are great as well. Obviously, the visa arrival system works really, really well. It's pretty functional, and the airport's brand new. It's a brand new airport. Totally redesigned, and it just works. The airlines, the Ethiopian Airlines, has probably got one of the best records out there in service across Africa. It's very successful. I mean, more so than most of the others.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've flown it a couple of times and always been very happy with the service in particular. And yeah, it's got a very good safety record. It is a very good airline. No, Dave, thanks very much. I know you're on your way up.
Thank you, Sean.
And thanks for your time, and look forward to catching up in person at some stage, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, looking forward to that moment. We need to go and spend some time in the bush, as always.
Oh, no, don't adjust. Don't adjust.
All right.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much,
well,
Dave.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for just allowing me to share my passions with you.
We've been talking to Dave Southwood. Dave's a photographer, a guide, and he also represents Grand Holidays in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a fantastic country, very diverse, a lot of history, well worth the visit, even if it's just for the coffee. Thank you. See you next time.